bones. Let's get the bones. Okay. Tootsie, sit. You gotta sit. Good girl. There you go. Good man. Good morning, everybody. Crafting Journey here, that Journey Chick on Instagram, and on my second YouTube channel, The Leftovers. The link to the Leftover channel is down in the description. That is my reselling channel, which is the business that I'm in. All this stuff, except for the alpacas, is for sale. It should be in my store. It might not be. This little thing, this little guy here is not for sale, but look. This is hand crocheted. Somebody crocheted this little Inca doll. Is that not the cutest thing you ever saw? I crocheted this. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cold outside today. And my camera battery, when I woke up this morning, was dead. I forgot to put it in the charger overnight. So the animal footage you saw was from in the house when I got back. They always want their milk bone when I get home. When we get back. I think that's the only reason Tootsie goes on the walk, is so she can have a milk bone when she gets back. Anyway, I don't need my notes today. I have a lot to catch you up on from yesterday. Some interesting things happened in the trial world. Where's my coffee? Oh, yeah. I'm going to run down to the bins today. And for those of you who don't know what the Goodwill outlets, so I can do some restocking of my inventory, which I did go to the regular Goodwill yesterday. I picked up an incredible coat, which I haven't listed. I'll let you know when I list it. But hi, Tootsie. Good morning. She's going to want to go out. She won't go to the bathroom on the walk. She'll pee, but she won't do number 2 on the walk. It's just, I don't know, it's against her religion or something. So she'll eat her milk bone, she'll drink her water, then she wants to go in the backyard. Well, I guess we all have our routines, right? All right. 1 minute. I just got shocked by the doorknob. That hurt. Now I'm not going to want to touch any doorknobs at all today. Leftovers from last night's gaming. That was fun. Disney's Dreamlight Valley. I stream that twice a week. It's a Nintendo Switch game. All right. Did I have any of my coffee? I don't think so. So we were out of coffee. So I bought Folgers. So my sister and I had this argument, like, Folgers is different than Dunkin'. I'm like, it's coffee. All the coffee's the same. She's right. It's not the same. Oh, I'm so bad. It's just okay. It's not Dunkin' Donut coffee. Anyway, which is what we usually buy, the decaf. Whatever. My sister's, I should know, she's always right. She really is. She's probably the smartest person I know. She could be on Jeopardy, I think. Anyway, what happened in the trial world, I'll get it out. Let's take the George Wagner case first. George Wagner IV is on trial for murder of the 8 members of the Rodin family. 4 different crime scenes. His brother Jake and his mother Angela have already confessed, pled guilty. They're serving their sentences. His father, the garbage man is here. His father will have a trial early next year. I don't know why they're trying them separately. It seems like an exorbitant amount of money because we're in week 10 of this trial. 9 or 10. I don't know. A long trial. They brought in a special prosecutor. Yeah. So I thought the plaintiff had rested, or the prosecution had rested their case. No. Apparently they don't rest until all the evidence comes in. Then they rest. So they're defense is bringing in witnesses out of order. So they spent all day Monday, all day Tuesday, like into the night, from what I am understanding, doing these, working on getting evidence entered into the case. And they're doing it like one piece at a time, like 586, 587, 4,200. Yeah. So now Tootsie One's back in. Damn thing shocked me again. Ow. Oh, I feel like my hand's going to fall off. Okay. So and to my knowledge, they still haven't finished entering all the evidence, because at this point, the judge brought the jury back. So now they're taking defense witnesses out of turn, so to speak. And then on breaks and after the court's done for the day, they finishing up with the evidence. So at some point, although I do think the state put on another witness yesterday, they brought back one of the crime scene investigators. I don't know. I wasn't paying any attention. I did listen to the cross-examination of George Wagner. He took the stand on Wednesday. There was a direct examination. Yesterday morning, they finished up his direct examination, and the prosecutor, the special prosecutor, cross-examined him. And let me just say, because it was hours, I'm going to just sum it up. Here's the summation of it all. He doesn't know anything. He didn't know anything about this. Everybody's lying. His mother's lying. She hates him. She favors Jake. He's always been her, best child, most favorite child. And his friends are lying. His brother's lying. His mother's lying. Everybody's lying. He's the only one telling the truth. But he stuck to his story. I didn't know anything about this. They put on another defense witness, a friend of his, who he had gone fishing with, or hunting on. Is it the same thing? I don't know. Anyway, it's not. I know that. So, like about a week after the murders, and he tells a story about how they were sitting there fishing or whatever it was they were doing out in the woods, and that George got very emotional and started crying about these murders. They were very good friends with this Roden family. These two families, they've grown up together. The kids have grown up together. There was a picture introduced of George's wedding photo when he married Tabitha, who testified against him, and she was an evil person. Oh, George didn't like any of the women that came through the house. He had conspiracy theories about all of them. But there's a wedding photo from Tabitha and George's wedding where the Roden family's there. It's like his family, the Roden family, they're all in this one lovey-dovey wedding photo. So he didn't do it. Okay. So I don't know where we're at. At the end of the day, I don't know how this concluded yesterday. Probably still putting evidence in, I suspect. In any case, let's go over to the Matthew Terry penalty phase. Now, as you know, Matthew Terry was on trial for the murder of Kay Baker. She's a math teacher. This is in Florida, Hillsborough County, another Florida case. This is the case where I think I told you that the governor, Ron DeSantis, or Ron DeSanctimonious, if you listen to Trump, actually suspended the prosecutor because he refused to put the death penalty on the table for this guy, and appointed a county court judge to be the prosecutor, and he put the death penalty, she put the death penalty back on the table. So this is the penalty phase. So they found him guilty of stabbing and murdering Kay Baker. And I think largely in part because he was claiming someone else did it. There was a third person there that he was attacked. And, but they put, I think you're saying it was Michelle Rogers. They put Michelle Rogers on the stand back in 2017. She told a story about how he attacked and stabbed her, punched her senseless, broke her nose, stabbed her in the arm, the neck, bit her, to the point where she was in an ICU for 5 days. She survived. Thank God she survived to tell the story. So she gets on the stand as the last prosecution witness and tells the jury about what happened to her back in 2017. Now, the jury doesn't know that there was a trial. So now we get into, so they hear this, the defense rests without Matthew Terry taking the stand. And the judge did as as every judge would do. Are you sure no one has coerced you to testify, not to testify? No, I'm doing this freely and voluntarily, and I know I'm not going to testify. He goes through that whole soliloquy that they have to go through. And so the defense rests, they do their closing arguments. The jury comes back very quickly with a guilty verdict. So they go into phase 2. So phase 2, during the aggravator was the fact that Kay Baker knew the defendant for over 20 years. And his family knew her. Everybody knew her family was friends with his family, and they all knew each other. And she grew up in Michigan, and it was after his attack of this other woman in 2017, she gets together with him. And at his trial for the 2017 murder, she actually testifies that, oh no, I trust this man. Look what trusting him got her. Yeah, more about that later. So they moved out. She gets this job in Florida as a school teacher, so they moved down to Florida. And, well, she moves down, and he follows her later on. He had only been in Florida a few months when this occurred. So now the jury's learning all this. She knew him. She knew he had done this before, and she trusted him. So this is particularly heinous because now he's stabbing her, and she knows that he was trying to kill this other woman, and oh my God, now he's trying to kill me, and how horrible that must have been for her with that knowledge. And so that was the argument. Then the defense put on mitigation, which was a lot of his family members, Matthew Terry's family members, came up and said how much he loved him, and we love him, and we don't, we support him, and blah blah blah. And defense put on a very good closing argument. They did openings, closings in the phase 2 as well. So in the closings, the defense just argued, listen, you've already sentenced him to life in prison. He did it. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be in there. The sentence has already been determined. You've given him life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, all you're determining is, when is he going to die? Is he going to die out of a natural death, after 30, 40 years in prison, or is he going to die whenever they appoint the time of his death? You decide. It comes down to a calendar. Pick a date. That's when he's going to die. So, and as we know in Florida, as we learned in the Nicholas Cruz Parkland shooting case, the juries in Florida do not have to be, it does have to be unanimous. Like, everyone has to agree death penalty. If one person says, nope, no death penalty, then there's no death penalty. So the jury goes out to deliberate. Now, this is when things really start happening in this courtroom. I'm like, what? Because I went down to, I knew they were deliberating, so I laid down to take a nap. I get up 2 hours later, and all this stuff has happened. I'm like, what? So here's what happened. So they go out to deliberate, and the judge always says, anything from the prosecution, and then he'll say, we're going off the record until the jury has a verdict. Well, Matthew Terry stands up and says, I have something I want to put on the record. Against the advice of my attorney, I want to tell you, Judge, that they lied to me. What? They lied to me. He said, I was promised if I didn't testify that during the closing arguments, they would tell what actually happened. I think the judge was speechless. Excuse me? Why are you bringing this up now? The jury's out deliberating whether you're going to get the death penalty or not. Now you're bringing this up? So there was a lot of back and forth and case law and, and there's like, this is not the time to deal with it. And he was asking the attorneys, did you promise him something? And they wouldn't answer him. They wouldn't answer the judge. They're like, we can't answer you, judge, because unless you order us to answer you, because it's attorney-client privilege. So eventually he orders it. I'm ordering you. Did you promise him anything? And the female, he was addressing the female lawyer. Her name was Mrs. Perry. And she said, no, I did not promise him anything. And the prosecution jumps up and he goes, hey, Judge, I just want to point out that you only asked one of his lawyers. You didn't ask all the team. And the judge says, well, that's true, I didn't. So he starts asking the different members of his team. And then the gentleman that was part of the team, he's like, yeah, I promised him something. I promised him that during the closing, because Miss Perry did the closing, that she would argue inferences that could be raised by the evidence, which was that there was a third person involved. Or it could be that she was just trying to put reasonable doubt in the minds of a jury. And she did that very well, especially with the blood splatter expert. You didn't test this, you didn't test this. There was 42 spots you didn't test. Couldn't that be a third person? Well, yeah, it could have been. But Matthew, apparently that's not the real story. Now, we never heard what the real story was. I was waiting for the judge to say, well, what's the real story? That didn't happen. But the reason he says he did not bring it up until now is because he had been discussing it with his lawyers. And then it was just now that he decided, I wanted this on the record. So, what will happen is, when it's all said and done, he will, file a motion, ineffective assistance of counsel, and, as a basis for one of his appeals. Anyway, he's got a lot to appeal. The fact that this bad act evidence came in, the fact that the jury learned he had a prior conviction, and his victim, the woman he murdered, knew about this conviction. So the jury comes back. They deliberated for 2 hours. They come back, and they felt that no death penalty. They did not vote for the death penalty. I don't know if there was a holdout. I don't know. It took them 2 hours, so maybe they were, who knows. But like I said, in Florida, it has to be unanimous. So there you go, Ron DeSanctimonious. No death penalty. I think the prosecutor was right. Anyway, I don't like Ron DeSantis. Never have. That's why I moved out of Florida. If he runs for the presidency, guys, I'm just warning you. He's an idiot. Yes. I watched a debate between him and another gubernatorial candidate years ago, and he was just a bumbling fool during this debate. Anyway, I'm way off topic. Anyway, so they come back. So now, no life sentence, no death penalty. So he's going to get life, and the judge says, there's only one thing I can do here. My hands are tied. There's only one thing. I don't have any discretion. How about we do the sentencing now? Are your witnesses prepared to give victim impact statements? Yes, they are. So Kay Perry's stepmother gets up. She had known Kay for 35 years. So she gets up on the stand and she says, it's so sad when your children pick partners that we know are wrong for them. We knew that, we prayed and prayed and prayed that something like this would never happen. That we knew that he had attacked this other woman, and we tried to warn her and she just wouldn't listen, and her father tried to warn her and I tried to warn her, and so horrible. So then the judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So that's how that ended. Okay. Now, you thought the Brooks case was over. Well, it is. But like I said yesterday, maybe I didn't say it. I don't know. He's got 2 cases pending in Milwaukee, which is different than Waukesha. It's another part of Wisconsin. So he gets transported for a hearing, a pre-trial hearing on the two cases in Milwaukee. And the cases in Milwaukee are the case he's pled not guilty in both the cases. One was for they were both stem from the domestic violence of the mother of one of his children, one of his 4 children. He's got 4 baby mamas, 4 babies. They're not all babies anyway. So he pled not guilty. So he does have attorneys in that case. So the first thing we see is him being wheeled into the courtroom in a wheelchair, strapped into this wheelchair, handcuffed, strapped. So I never saw the explanation for that. I don't know if he was refusing to go or I don't know what, but he sat very, very quietly during this hearing because, like I said, he did have lawyers. And the lawyers argued to the judge that because of the Waukesha Christmas parade trials, they were not able to work with their client in preparation for this trial, which was to occur December 12th, I think. And the judge said he agreed, and the prosecution did not argue against it. Now, I'm thinking at this point, my thought was, why don't you just plead guilty? You know, you're already serving 1,000 years in jail for what you did in Waukesha. Why are you fighting this? Maybe so he can get out of prison every so often and go testify. I don't know. But he maintains his not guilty plea. They're going to reset the trials in both cases. I think they're going to do them together. Or they're going to do them at the same, like one in the morning, one in the afternoon. They're not going to be difficult trials. They're domestic violence, when he tried to run over this woman with the same vehicle he ran over all those other people with. And I saw an interview that she did. Her name is Erica Patterson. She did an interview with another YouTuber, and she was saying that when he ran her over, like he broke her leg. They were at a gas station, they were arguing, and she tried to walk away, and when she was walking away, he gets in his vehicle and just runs her over. Yeah. Anyway. That is what happened in Crafting and Crime yesterday. I'm thinking, have I missed anything? Oh, there is one thing I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on that occurred late last week or earlier this week, on November 11th, whenever that was. I have to pull out the calendar, but Lori Daybell was back in court, and she was found competent to stand trial. Now, as you guys may remember, she and Chad Daybell are on trial. They're being tried together. They each have separate attorney defense teams, separate accounts of what occurred. They're going to be pointing fingers at each other. And she had once been found incompetent to stand trial. Now, what that means is not, it just means that she cannot assist with her own defense, and she does not understand what the proceedings are because of a mental disease or defect. So she was hospitalized for a long period of time where everything was delayed. She comes back, she's declared competent. 2-3 months later, she's declared incompetent again. Meanwhile, Chad Daybell has asked the court, because there is a trial date set, has asked the court, can you please sever this? Please, just let's try these cases separately. The judge does not want to do that because they've already changed the venue to a different court where, they have to reserve the courthouse because this is going to be a media frenzy. They've got to make all these preparations with the court where it's going to occur, and it's not an easy thing to do to schedule a trial in another venue twice. So they want to try this together, not to mention the prosecution's arguing the expense of 2 trials. So we don't know if the judge is going to sever these 2 trials, but so now she's been declared incompetent again for the second time. Now, how long she's going to stay competent this time, I don't know. Or when or if we ever see these two go on trial, but they will be tried for the murder of her two children and his ex-wife. Well, is she really an ex? Well, yeah, she's dead. I guess she's an ex-wife, and he's currently married to Lori Vallow Daybell. I should have said Vallow Daybell. What a tangled web we weave. That's going to be such an interesting case. So interesting. There's so much story behind what happened with these two, or what these two did, together with her brother, who died shortly after Chad Daybell's wife's body was exhumed. He dies of like a blood clot, like just sudden death. Yeah. On the bathroom floor, I think. But he had a lot to do with it, I'm sure. That coffee's not bad. If I tell myself enough times, I'll believe it, right? It's not. Thank you guys for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the content. I'm going to head down to the Goodwill outlets today. It is, we're expecting it's supposed to get bitterly cold this morning. The temperatures are going to be dropping today. It was cold out this morning, 20s. No snow, though, here in Wichita, but I know there's a lot of my friends that are getting gobs and gobs of snow, and enjoy it. Go out and build a snowman. You can build a snowman. No, whatever. I digress. Send me pictures. I love the snow. I wish it would snow here, but because it's not snowing, I'm going to have a nice drive. I'm going to put on my Audible book if there's nobody testifying, because I love listening to the testimony. I was yesterday when I went to the Goodwill outlet, or not just the regular Goodwill store, I was listening to George testify. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I didn't do it. They're lying. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. I'm going to be live on Sunday at 11 a.m. It's just a chit chat with all my crafting friends. If you guys want to join me, you are welcome to join me. It's always fun to have anybody that would like to join. And we just talk about, life and what's happening, and I show off my crafts. So I'll see you then. I do have a really interesting video I'm going to show on Sunday about a bazaar that I went to and some different crafters that I interviewed. You don't want to miss that. So I'll see you guys Sunday at 11. If not, Monday morning in Crafting and Crime Daily. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.